And good morning to everyone. So our today's lead code question is 2784, that is check if array is good. So basically in this question we are given an integer array named as nums, and we consider an array good if it is a permutation of an array base n. Now what is a base n? So base of n is basically an array containing all the numbers from 1 to n, right? 1 to n, and first and the frequency of first n minus 1 numbers is only 1. 1 to n minus 1 numbers is only 1, and then n appears twice. So this is base of n, right? And the length of base of n will be n plus 1, that is n minus 1 number appears 1 times plus n appears 2 times, so it will be n plus 1, right? So the length of base of n is n plus 1. So we have to check. So if we see base of 3, if we see base of 3 will be 1 2 3 and 3. This will be base of 3, right? So we have to return true if the given array is good, and otherwise we have to return false, right? So an array is good if it is a if it is base of n, if it can be shown as base of n. So let's see some examples to get the question more clearly. So our first nums array is 2 1 3, 2 1 3. So the maximum element is 3. So this array can be base of 3, but for base of 3 it should be 1 2 3 and 3, 1 2 3 and 3. But here if we see, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, but in base of 3 3 should appear 2 times, but here 3 is only appearing 1 time. So it is not base of 3. So we have to so it is not good, it is not good, so we have to return false, right? Next, if you see here 1 2 3 3, yeah, this is a base of 3. This is base of 3, so it is a good array, it is a good array, so we'll be returning true, right? Let's see the next example. So in the next example we are given 1 1 2 3 4 4. So here the maximum element is 4, and base of 4 is 1 2 3 4 4. So here if you see, the size of base of 4 is 4 plus 1, that is 5. But here if you see, the size of the array is 1 2 3 4 5 6 6, which is not equal to base of 4. So this array can't be equal to base of 4, because their sizes are different, so we return false, right? So let's see the constraints. So nums.length is up to 100, and each element in the array can be up to 200. So let's move to the approach part. So we'll be using frequency counting to solve this question, and our array will be good if it will be a permutation of base of n, and base of n contains all the elements from 1 to n minus 1 with frequency 1, and n is appearing with frequency 2. So number from 1 to n minus 1 has one frequency, n has 2 as 2 frequency. So the total elements in the base of n will be n minus 1 plus 2, which is n plus 1. So total n plus 1 elements should be present in base of n. And if we see base of n has the maximum element as n, so n is the maximum element in base of n, right? So using the fourth property, that is base of n contains the n as the maximum element, right? So we want our array to be a permutation of base of n. So what will be our n? Then n should be maximum element of the array, right? Because in base of n is the maximum element, base of n is the maximum element, and we want our array to be base of n. So n should be the maximum element of the array. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll find the maximum element of the array. Let's say it be mx. So mx is our maximum element of the array. And now what we want array to be permutation of base of mx, right? Base of mx. So as we know, base of mx, it should have mx plus 1 elements. It should have mx plus 1 elements. So the first condition that we check is that whether the size of the array, is equal to base of mx size or not, that is mx plus 1 or not. So if the size is not equal to mx plus 1 or mx plus 1, then our array cannot be a permutation of mx base of mx. So we return false, right? But the first condition, that size of array is equal to mx plus 1, satisfied, then what we do is then we check the frequency of each element of the base of mx. So in base of mx, the elements from 1 to mx minus 1, 1 to mx minus 1 should have a frequency as 1, right? They should have appeared one time, and mx should have appeared two times. So now we will be checking these frequency. So what we can do is we can take an array, let's say array of frequency of size mx. Initially size of all the elements is 0, and then we iterate over the array and then store the frequency of all the elements in this frequency array. And then we check whether the frequency of all the elements from 1 to mx minus 1 is 1 or not. If any element has frequency greater than 1 or lesser than 1 in 1 to mx minus 1, then the array is not base of mx. So we can return false, right? Or if frequency of mx is not 2, then also we return false. Or third thing can be, if any element is present in the array which is not in the range 1 to mx, then also we have to return false, because in base of mx all the elements are in the range from 1 to mx, right? So after storing frequency, we verify the frequency of 1 to mx minus 1 should appear exactly once, mx should appear exactly twice, and if all the conditions are satisfied, then we return true, else we return false. So if you see the time complexity, we are iterating the over the array only once. So our frequency will be big of n for finding the frequency, and then for verifying our time complexity will be big of mx, and space complexity is big of n. So let's try to understand with the help of an example. So we have taken this as the example 3 4 4 1 2 1. Now first what we do is first we find the maximum of the array. So here the maximum is 4, right? So what we want, so we want this array to be base of mx, that is base of 4, and base of 4 is 1 2 3 4 and 4, right? And so if you see what is the total elements in base of 4, that is 4 plus 1 equal to 5. But here in our array we have 6 elements, right? So this array cannot be a base of 4, because in base of 4 we have 5 elements, but in array we are having 6 elements, and that is due to this one, as 1 is appearing two times, right? So let's assume now we have removed this one, right? And this is our new nums array, which is 3 4 4 1 2, right? So the length of nums array is equal to mx plus 1, right? So the length constraints, the length constraint is satisfied, or the length condition is satisfied. Now next thing what we need to do is we need to check the frequencies. That frequency of 1 to mx minus 1 should be 1, and frequency of mx should be 2 as per the base rule, base of mx rule, right? So initially we have taken a frequency of size mx, and then all the elements are 0, and then what we do is then we iterate over the array and store the frequency of each element. So frequency of 3 is 1, then frequency of 4 we increase, frequency of 4 again we increase, frequency of 1 we increase, frequency of 2 increase. So after iterating over the array we get this frequency array 1 1 1 and 2. So we can see frequency of mx is 2, and frequency of all the elements from 1 to mx minus 1 is 1. So our condition satisfied, our condition satisfied, so we return true, so we return true, right? So let's move to the code part. So in the code part, first of all we'll find the maximum element of the nums array, and then we check the size constraints, that the number of elements present in the array, whether they are equal to or not equal to mx plus 1, because in base of mx we have mx plus 1 elements. So if the array is base of mx, then it should also have mx plus 1 elements. If the array does not have mx plus 1 elements, then it can't be a base of mx, so we return false, right? So this is first condition. Then we have taken a vector of type integer and named as frequency, and then what we are doing is we are iterating over the nums array, and if if the number is not a valid, is not an invalid number, so in base of mx all the numbers should be in between 1 to mx. So if any number present out of this range, then that number is an invalid number. So if the array has an invalid number, then that array can't be a base of mx, so we return false, else we increase the frequency of that number, right, if it is a valid number, right? Now we have stored the frequency. Now we have to verify that all the numbers from 1 to mx minus 1 is having frequency 1. So here in this loop we are verifying that all the number from 1 to mx minus 1 has frequency 1 or not, right? So if the frequency of the number from 1 to mx minus 1 is not equal to 1, then we have to return false, because our condition is not satisfied for the base of mx. And the last condition that we will be checking is that if frequency of mx is 2 or not, right? So if it is 2, then we return true, else it will return false, and that is our answer. So I hope I am able to explain you the solution properly. So if you like the video, please make sure to like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.